Step 2, we go into the in-cabs inspection, which is inside of the vehicle. Now, when you're doing this, you want to remember that inside the vehicles is so easy, simple, really. It's the simplest part of the preacher, but it's just as important as everything else in the preacher, because when you're inside, you're in it, you're demonstrating, you can see the parts and touch, feel, are these parts functioning? Are they actually working? Versus outside, you're more so looking at the parts. So you want to check that the controls and equipment are in place, they're functioning properly, they're actually working, and making sure that it's safety, and you want to reduce any possible hazards. Now, the following must be on hand every day. You must have with you the vehicle registration, which is the valid vehicle, all the necessary paperwork you need, the annual inspection, which is a sticker or annual inspection report, make sure that's present and valid. The fire extinguisher, make sure that it's mounted, accessible, fully charged, and appropriate for the cargo, or when you're transporting passengers, make sure that's being hauled or transported. Now, remember, you must have the underwriter laboratories of at least 5 BC. And if you're hauling hazmat materials, it must be a rating of at least 10 BCs. But if you're driving a vehicle that doesn't have hazmat, it would be an underwriter's laboratories of at least 5 BCs. So in other words, when you're checking the safety equipment, make sure it's accounted for, it's accessible, which is the 3 reflective triangles, spare fuses, and any other personal protective equipment. So that's also known as PPE, personal protective equipment, and make sure that it's manually secured. After you're entering the vehicle, you want to check the windows and windshield, because now you're checking it from the inside. It's a difference. Make sure it's present, clean, not cracked or broken, and it's free of illegal or outdated stickers with no obstruction or damage to the glass, and make sure it's mounted securely. Now, the driver's seat itself, you want to actually sit in the driver's seat because you're physically doing it. Sitting in the driver's seat, make sure it's secured to the frame. Frame is securely mounted to the floor, and it is properly adjusted. Then you check your seatbelt, physically check it. Go ahead, make sure that it's securely mounted, it adjusts, and it latches properly, and it's not ripped or frayed. Then check the mirrors. The internal, which is inside when you're inside the vehicle, and external, which is outside of the mirror itself. Make sure that it's present and it's properly adjusted from the inside. Make sure it's clean, not cracked or broken, not damaged, and it's mounted securely with no loose fittings. So the types of mirrors you have is the flat mirrors, which is the West Coast or the plane mirrors, or you have the convex mirrors, which is the round spot or the fish eye or bug eye mirrors. Now, inside the vehicle, you have gauges, and you want to make sure they're functioning and working properly during the inspection before you even start driving. So you have the oil pressure gauge, make sure it rises to normal operating range or to the manufacturer's recommended level. Then you have the coolant temperature, making sure that gauge is low after starting up, and then it rises as the vehicle engine warms up. Then you have the tachometer, making sure that's working properly. The speedometer, make sure it reaches 0 and it's working once you start moving the vehicle. Then you have the fuel gauge, make sure it shows that it has fuel, make sure it's at least a half a tank. Then you have the air pressure, make sure that's charged appropriately if the gauges read low. Then you have the AM meter and the voltmeter. So you want to make sure that it's registered positive and at the correct voltage. And the voltage is normally between 12 to 14 volts. Now, inside the vehicle, you have switches and you have the ABS. Now, you want to make sure all the switches are functioning and working properly. You want to flip those flashers or blower or motor or heater and defrosters. You want to actually go ahead and all of those switches, make sure that they come on. Heating defrosters, make sure they work. You got to turn it on, physically feel that they work, because trust me, during the time, you're going to need it. You have the ABS. You want to make sure that the anti-lock brake system, the ABS indicators, they're on. And you want to know that the modern tractor and trailer have 3 indicators. You have 2 on the dashboard, which is 1 for the tractor ABS, 1 for the trailer ABS, and then the third one will be on the left rear corner of the trailer. And that specifically is for combination vehicles, Class A, tractor trailer, etc. So you want to check the windshield wipers and fluid, make sure the wipers are not damaged, worn, or frayed. The wiper arms and blades itself is mounted secured, and its fluid works properly, it operates smoothly, and is mounted securely. Then you want to actually check the steering wheel and horn itself. So in some vehicles, you have just the regular horn. Then you have, in some trucks or most trucks, you have the city horn that's used during the city. And then you have the air horn, which you use during for emergencies. So you want to make sure that's securely mounted, no more than 2 inches of play in a 20-inch wheel, or no more than 10%. And then make sure the horn works properly by tapping or applying the horn. And then check the foot pedal. So you want to check that the accelerator pedal, which is the throttle or foot pedal, make sure you want to check for looseness, make sure it's not sticking or it's no damage. And then you want to listen for any unusual noise that could show or indicate a problem. Hey, BET Trainer here. Listen, if you really had true value out of this video, go ahead and click that like button and share some honest comments about this video, because this is going to help other people as well see the video and get the value information, so that way they can be inspired by what you're doing right now as well. So also, if you want to get the latest updates, go ahead and click the subscribe button, so then you can be able to always be updated on the next instant video that will be put out. So again, go ahead and do that. And this video was sponsored by BET Life Services and CDL for Life.